Hey there folks, and welcome to this video, and here I'm going to be talking about the Races All-Star Esports Series, which has just concluded its day of Indy Mayhem. We saw 6 different races taking place, 2 of them on the Indy Oval, and the other 4 on a 2007 version of the Grand Prix circuit. And what I'm going to do in this video is talk about each one race by race. I'll put timestamps in the description down below, and then make some concluding remarks about the event itself. The first pro race saw a bit of contact. It was Canapino took the win from Team and Eastwood. It was a consistent race after Team and Gutierrez somehow came together at the start, I believe in turn 2. Gutierrez ended up dropping back down to P7. It was worse for his teammate though, Anthony Davidson, who ended up having a crash and rolling the car on the final lap. I believe collision might have been with James Collado. In the first sim race, Van Buren, Huis and Simoncic were running close. There was a lot of 107% tactics at play here, and I don't think they were properly enforced again with qualifying. We saw the fastest time in quali being around a 1 minute 14, I believe, but at the same time, people were setting 1 minute 19s and still managing to win out in a reverse grid. So they say this 107%, it doesn't seem like it's being enforced, and to be honest, that's a bit disappointing. There was a pile up at the end of the first lap, but in the end it was Van Buren taking the win from Huis and Simoncic. Wisniewski came close to taking third place, but Simoncic took it back going into the first corner on the final lap in a mirror move to what Wisniewski did on Simoncic on the penultimate lap. Sipo ended up finishing off the top 5. The first Legends race was quite fascinating as well. Solberg took pole in quite a competitive fashion, I guess you'd say. It was 9 thousandths of a second, the size of the pole advantage. It was a close race for Alonso and Button, with Alonso eventually taking the win, and it was actually quite a close pack until Franchitti and Solberg almost wrecked. They were running 0% damage, which prevented any kind of wreck, unless you were as unlucky as someone like Fernandez, who was just thrown out of the track map into a DNF. Magnussen came home 3rd, with Montero 4th, and Canano in 5th. The second pro race saw massive collisions in turns 1 and 2, with Pull rolled by Correa. There was another big one at the start of the second lap, and at the end of it, it was Ticknell from Tony Ingram and Van Oyter. After that, it was Eastwood, Ben Yahia, and Aidan Millwood. De Francesco ended up causing multiple incidents over the course of the race, which massively influenced how the race ended up, and even wiped out Gutierrez at the line. I wasn't too much of a fan of how De Francesco was driving there. It was far too aggressive, especially compared to what we've been getting used to. In the second sim race, Brzezinski took the win from Romanidis and Duels. Yayovsky was running quite consistently, and then span going into the oval section and crashed out. Brenton Lee was the biggest climber, and Siggy's reverse grid gamble didn't pay off in the end, finishing, I think it was P8. There wasn't much of a change in race order for the top 10. The second Legends race was quite fun. Apart from a glitch that had Oriol Servia running at the top, because I did start on pole. For a large amount of the race, you had Sarlo, Liazzi, Brabham, Castaneves and Herta all running in tandem. Liazzi and Herta had contact, which wrecked Herta. After only a few minutes, we saw Alonso climbing up into P5. It was then a battle between Thiago Montero, who also climbed up, and Fernando Alonso for the second race win. Castaneves, Button and Brabham were running quite closely in 3rd, 4th and 5th after Sarlo span out, coming out of T2. And it was Alonso who took the win from Montero. Castaneves 3rd, Button 4th, Brabham 5th. You were starting to see the chasing pack climbing up and chasing the top 2 a lot closer until they were approaching back markers, in which case the final kind of order was itself, well, finalised, I guess you'd say. It was quite an interesting weekend. We had Paul Page joining for commentary, though I don't know if he was on a separate audio track to our regular commentators because there was a lot of talking over each other. At the same time, there was a lot more of an emphasis on the Legends race, which I didn't mind so much, but it felt a bit like the sim races and the pro races were a bit hard done by in that case. But I have to say, I did enjoy the change of format, which saw two different track layouts being used. I do wonder why the 2007 Indy Grand Prix track was chosen. Maybe it's because it was more well known for the F1 era, but I think it was quite cool, and it's nice to have done Indy again because what was it? Was it the second part of the first season we saw the Races All-Star Series heading to Indy? Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.